What is going on, everybody? Hopefully everybody all is doing well on Monday night. Hopefully you all had a great weekend. Hopefully you are safe wherever home is at for you guys. Yeah. But it is a gorgeous day here in Austin, Texas this Monday. This weekend was really beautiful, exciting. I think the governor here, Abbott, is pushing to get the state open here in the next week or two by May 1st with a variety of different things. But a lot of changes are taking place across the country, a lot of moving parts in every society, every city, between those that are sick and those aren't sick, and the small business and big business and banking. So many moving parts. So I thought it would be a good idea to come in tonight and share tonight's topic about kind of where I see the dominoes falling based on not only where we're at today, where we're going to be in 6 months. Also, we can learn a lot by looking back at what I was doing over 12 years ago in 2008, 9, and 10, the last 10 to 12 years ago, and some of the things that you guys can be putting into place today, some of the things that you can be doing immediately here in the next 30, 60, 90 days to make sure that your second half of 2020 is probably going to be one of the most productive 6 months that you will ever see in your real estate career. There's a lot of great things going on. There's a lot of bad things going on. And we can create a lot of lemonade out of a lot of lemons and help a lot of people. We create a lot of win-wins out there for everybody. So great to have you all here. We'll be probably right in and out about an hour. Got to give a big shout out to all those that attended Note Weekend this past Saturday. Had a great group of new students checking out, kind of dipping their toes in the water when it comes to note investing. And so honored to have you guys. If you're joining us, if you're brand new, hey, welcome to Note Night in America, everybody. We do these webinars just about every Monday night. We didn't do one last Monday night just because I didn't know really where to talk about, didn't know really where to dive into with the market being. But we do record these. Did I hit the record button? Yep, record button is good. Or record it, so if it goes beyond an hour and you got a bug on out and get it, they are recorded. You can go to weclosenotes.tv. That should take you directly to our YouTube account. Make sure that you subscribe when you're there. All sorts of great stuff taking place there. We have different podcasts as well, but we do take the Note Night in America webinars and have its own podcast called Note Night in America Podcast. And of course, I encourage you to go to weclosenotes.com. It's our main website for everything out there, along with our different podcasts and different trainings we have available. And so I've been getting bombarded with a lot of people curious, like, oh my gosh, what's the market doing? We need to learn the note investing. What do you have available? So we had our one-day note weekend this past Saturday. It was great. We've got two events, really kind of three events, and I'll say the third one for a little bit later, but two events here in the next kind of, honestly, 40 days. Our first one taking place in roughly about 3 weeks. That's our note buying workshop, our virtual note buying for dummies, kind of is what we call it here. That's our 3-day nuts and bolts training. You can go to notebuyingfordummies.com. We'll take you straight to our website to check out. If that gives you any issues, please let me know. Normal price is $5.99 or $6.99. That we dropped it down to $5.99 for that. And then our big mid-year convention, back for the 8th time in 5 years, is Note Camp 2020, as we call it. This is our mid-year convention, 30 to 40 speakers. We are 39 days out from Note Camp 2020. Yes, we will rock you at that event. June 5th, 6th, and 7th. We may add an extra half day on that Thursday before the 4th, depending on what's going on. You can go to notecamp2020.com. Price is $99 right now, but that goes up as of May 1st to $125. So you can save yourself $30 roughly. Or if you sign up for the virtual note buying workshop in May, I'll throw in a free comped ticket into the Note Buying for Dummies. I'm sorry, into Note Camp. So if you sign up for the virtual workshop, you'll get a ticket to Note Camp. All right. It is an extra added bonus for you guys. Excited for it. We do have some new things going on. We've got some new training that we've been working on. It's a lot of phone calls taking place, a lot of things that we're working through on assets here. So you definitely don't want to miss out on those two. Mark the calendar down. May 15th, 16th, 17th. Note Camp, June 5th, 6th, and 7th. So 2-3 days event. One's a 3-day workshop of me just teaching. That's the virtual note buying workshop. Note Camp is our online convention. We'll have 20 to 30 different speakers on different subjects in the note industry. So kind of high dollar, but note buying or Note Buying for Dummies, deep dive on distressed debt. So check those out, mark those calendars, get signed up for the virtual. You'll get a ticket to Note Camp. All right. Now, Domino investing. Let's talk about this. And this is one thing that I track on a regular basis. Many of you guys have been around for a while, know that we spend a lot of time tracking data. You know, what assignments of mortgage have been filed. I'm glad I pulled that list, but if you look at the top 5, really 6 states that have been hit the hardest, that are going to be hit the hardest even more. California, it's the top 5 or 6. They don't know exactly where it ranks, but obviously tourism and service industry jobs are going to be hit the hardest there, have been hit the hardest amount of layoffs and unemployments. Texas, hey, hello. Texas is going to be on sale for a little bit. Service industry, restaurants, transportation, healthcare, mining, manufacturing, oil, and construction markets have all been hit hard. I mean, when you look at Halliburton laying off 6,500, furloughing 6,500 people, that's a big thing there. Now they're laying off not that much. They're basically furloughing a lot of people, hoping the market comes back. But when you talk and look at all the economic advisors, when they talk about the fact that we get through this, there may be 3, 4, 5, 6 oil companies remaining. That's a lot to be worried about because there are a lot of smaller guys that aren't going to be around when it comes to that. Massachusetts, tourism is a big thing, although they didn't really release numbers on specific what sectors have been hit the hardest. Just that they are ranked number 3, I think, when it comes to the amount of layoffs that have been, unemployment has been filed for. Ohio, manufacturing, industrial, automakers there are laying off. GM laying off a lot of people. All right. Big universities in these areas are laying people off. Okay. Don't know if they're going to be rebounding. Okay. Pennsylvania was a surprise, number 1 in an article on Business Insiders just a day or two ago on transportation, hotel, restaurant, administrative, and healthcare industries being hit hard there in Pennsylvania. I was really surprised not to see Florida because I've seen this list of different things. But when you think that the number 1 company out there that's laid off and furloughed the most amount of employees is located in Florida or California, I think you've got to add Florida to that list as well, too, with tourism, hotels, restaurants, service industry, all those guys out there. Now, that's 6 states, you know. Have we seen a lot of stuff in Texas over the last decade? Not really. We've seen a lot of stuff in California. That means it's not really. Ohio, definitely. Pennsylvania, yeah. Florida, yeah. Other states are going to be hit harder, don't get me wrong. Other cities, other industries, definitely. Airfare. I think I saw somewhere that Boeing was laying off or furloughing 3,500 employees as well, too, in Colorado. So this is just a high-level aspect of things. This is not meant to be a be-all list of the states that are hit the hardest. We all know every state is taking it right now in the shorts, okay? Getting kicked in the knees, getting kicked in the teeth. Pay attention to what's going on in your market. Pay attention to what's being stated out there and who's laying who off. I mean, yes, is it a great thing that some of the states are opening up? Yes. Will I be excited to go to a movie theater on May 1st? Yes, I will be excited to go to the movie theaters this coming weekend if we'll go. But what I'm trying to get at, start looking at how the dominoes are stacking up, where and who is laying off. So what I did is I also jumped online, found the top 20 largest companies that have laid off across the country. Disney being number 1 with over 100,000 layoffs. Okay, 100,000 layoffs. And next to TJ Maxx companies, Macy's, Marriott, Kohl's, Gap, Tesla laid off half their staff. L Brands, which owns Victoria's Secrets and Bed Bath & Beyond. Now I understand why those stores are always next to each other in the malls, right? They're owned by the same parent company. Caesars Entertainment out of Vegas laying off a huge amount of its employees. That's not really a surprise. Best Buy, JCPenney, Cheesecake Factory, Landry's, Dick's Sporting Goods, Ascendant, which is the company that owns Lane Bryant and Ann Taylor. CarMax laying off over half the staff. Tenet Healthcare, which is out of Texas here. Under Armour out of Maryland laying off 6,500 employees. General Motors laying off a big chunk of employees. Quest Diagnostics laying off a big chunk of their employees. What you have to realize is if you look at these, what kind of calls out to you? Retail, right? Old-fashioned, big box retail. And, of course, your larger restaurant chains and some of those. You throw in Caesars in there as being tourism, okay? With the Marriott in there and stuff like that, too. Healthcare. Especially CarMax doesn't surprise me, especially with all the bigger companies offering up like 0% financing for 84 months. Although I'm surprised to see GM on there, but it's a variety of things. These are the top 20 companies based on the article that I pulled that shared the stuff. Now, you got to look, Disney's obviously California and Florida, Florida being more than California. A lot of these companies are all across the country in a variety of different things. And are we talking huge amounts in any one specific area? Probably not. I mean, Caesars in Las Vegas and a couple other places, but for the most part, it's going to be the retail stuff. Some of the stuff that we already knew that were in issues. Now, the thing that pops out to me, CarMax is kind of surprised, as I said before. We've talked about how a lot of the, selling the cars on used cars and auto debt financing being in trouble for the last couple of years. That's really the biggest true kind of used car salesman company out there across the country, besides your bigger chains for like the local companies I'm talking about, but CarMax being really the biggest one that's done that. Can you pick up some debt probably on some auto loans pretty cheap? Yeah, I know you can. It's been in the crapper for a while now. But anyway, the things you have to look at is if you're in a market that has these, this is what you're seeing. I mean, I'm less than a mile. I'm literally less than a mile probably from 70% of these, except for Under Armour, General Motors, Landry's, Cheesecake, JCPenney, Best Buy, Caesars, Tesla. Yeah, I'm basically less than a mile from a majority of these companies except Disney. Okay? So there are people being laid off. I mean, was Best Buy on here? Didn't say Best? Yeah, Best Buy. Most of us are. The thing is, what can you do? How can you help? And what are the opportunities here as the dominoes continue to fall? Because these people, what's happening? They're being laid off. They're trying to file for unemployment. They're looking for the jobs. But what happens when you got a flooded job market? You still have a huge amount of people looking for work that can't afford things. So let's talk about what it means for us. It means for us is, and you look at these and think about the majority of people working at these corporations or these companies. Large percentage of them are minimum wage positions, making less than $20 an hour. Now, if you look at some of the biggest cities or the states and compare that with what it means to try to live in those areas, I think Orlando, you got to make $19.80, at least $20 an hour combined to survive there, to be right above the poverty line. And we all know that's different for areas like California. You got to make a whole lot more to be above that poverty line. Okay. So there's a lot of, I hate to say this, but unskilled workers that are going to be struggling. Well, that means they're renters. What are they doing? They're not owning, they're renting, are struggling. So apartment complexes, or they're renting houses with friends has been a big trend. Or for those that were working beforehand, they are a first-time home buyer trying to buy something there if they had good credit. Well, I have seen email after email after email from some of the companies that we follow and are opted into their loan pricing, matrix, and they're telling me, oh, hey, we went from 0 reserves required to requiring 6, 12, and 18 months of payments in reserve for our new home buyers. What? Craziness. All right. The thing to look at is start looking at your markets that you're investing in, where you're living, and look at what's that price point. Median home price here in Austin is $300,000 roughly. That doesn't make good sense. So you got to look back. Okay, drop it down to there. Where is it below 200? Where is it below 150? Some markets, Ohio, 150 is still a big size house. In other areas, that's the doghouse in San Diego. All right. So looking at those places where people are renting or first-time home buyers. Okay. I think of especially around the colleges, duplex row. Anybody have those in your areas? I know we've got several spots here in Austin where it's just the whole street on both sides, a duplex, 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 duplex. When I went to school in San Marcos, Texas, which is in Hays County, which was supposed to be one of the top 25 counties growing across the country, and now with kids out of school and now college towns being ghost towns for the most part, if not other industries, those are going to be really your ground zero for the default game, for those dominoes starting to fall. Could be opportunity for you. It's just going to take a little while to get through it, especially depending on the foreclosure timeframes and what the states end up doing in opening that up for evictions or foreclosures. And we're still, obviously, I think 60 days out before we have a true picture on that, but we're going to start seeing trends happening. That talks about rentals, apartment owners that have stuff, they're going to be struggling. Out-of-state property owners that are renting or own houses in an area, whether it's a long-term rental or a short-term rental, they're going to be ones that are hurting, especially if they're out of state. They may not be able to go over there. They may try to require on property management to take place of that. And that's a difficult thing, okay? The thing to also keep in mind, though, this is kind of swaying back, that pendulum going back. Okay, Scott, quit being so negative. What are the opportunities for us? Well, obviously, we know more property, but with all these people being laid off in other industries as well, it does mean that people will have, if they've been putting money away into a 401k, a retirement account, they'll have something they need to do with that money. Roll it to a self-directed IRA. Start educating people. What can they do with that money? Now, some of them will probably need to cash out and dive into it. Some people need to stay there, but there are opportunities for people to actually pull money out of their 401k to invest with without, if they're not leaving the job, if they're just furloughed for a period of time. All right, keep that in mind. Now, where are we going to see a lot of the big deals? Well, we're going to see a lot of the property is your retail, your big box stores, your hotels, motels, your smaller strip malls, office space, and self-storage facilities. Why do I say self-storage facilities? Well, in a case where people can't make their rent payment, think about this. People moved in apartments years back because they couldn't afford traditional housing, and that's we've seen that. Well, people are laid off and can't afford their rent. They're not going to pay their car payment, and they're sure as heck not going to pay their self-storage payment. Okay, what does that mean? Self-storage facilities are going to start to see a dip in occupancies, see an increase in foreclosures. And you see a lot of mom and pop companies that probably aren't set up properly to take care of that. They don't have enough reserves. They may not have the business savvy. They may be ready to walk away from a problem and cash out, and could leave some great opportunities for investors like you and me. Opportunities that come in and take over some notes where the banks may be willing to carry it, be willing to recast the loan, especially self-storage and some smaller office space, maybe some smaller strip malls. I think the big box, I was talking to an investor today in Dallas, and he was talking about how over 50% of the malls in Dallas have basically closed. When you look at Neiman Marcus filing bankruptcy and some of these other retailers, I think the days of the malls are gone unless they can do something with either reaching out to smaller mom and pops, they may not have that, or converting that space to executive office suites, other types of retail bank, turning some of these into self-storage facilities, I think would be a great play to do. Climate controlled, who wouldn't want that? There's some opportunity there to recast that stuff to make some good stuff work. Okay. Hard money lenders are already starting to call, already starting to email me, already looking to move paper, book, stuff off their notes, stuff that was supposed to be, refinanced or cashed out 6 months ago, 3 months ago, a year ago. I've gotten several large lists that have been working through this afternoon, worked on it a little bit yesterday. Worked at it on Friday. I'll be working on a lot of it tomorrow, but people are already trying to move their paper, their assets, especially on the hard money side, because they realize there's this whole wave coming of values dropping. If they're not on the market and sold or fixed up, they're not going to get what they're into it for. Okay. Subprime lenders, obviously we talked about this a little bit earlier. They're first-time home buyers. People have gotten into a house with $500, $1,000 down. I don't know if I mentioned this a few weeks ago, but maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, Bank of America was doing 100% financing on Fannie Mae. What I mean by 100% financing, they're donating the down payment and putting $7,500 towards closing costs. I guarantee that program's gone, all right? And when you look at the numbers that they're talking about, and then also from the other side, from Chase and Citibank talking about what they're seeing and predicting, hey, we've got another big recession and tidal wave hitting us, guys, and you've got to be prepared to create scenarios. That doesn't mean you come in and evict everybody. Maybe you come in and you work with the borrowers. Maybe you work with the tenants if you're taking over the note. Hey, let's modify that. Let's keep everybody in play a little bit. What kind of programs are working out there? You're getting your $1,200 get out of jail card. Maybe not. Okay. I already saw, this thing I cracked up last night. I didn't crack up, but I was watching TV and I started seeing foreclosure bailout commercials, and I haven't seen those in Austin in forever. And they're already starting to crank them up. I'm sure you guys are seeing those in other places. Is the bank trying to kick you out of your house? Your bank trying to, and I was like, really? Okay. But they started popping up local channels here in Austin. I just kind of said, well, it's history repeating itself. Okay. So let's talk about what you should be doing. What should we be doing as investors? Well, what should we be doing? Marketing, marketing, marketing. I know you probably hate hearing me say that, but marketing, marketing, marketing means, yes, it's exactly that. You've got to be building the foundation, laying out the things, building the connections now, especially for the next 30 and 60 days. The last 30 days, hey, you could have gotten away with binge watching every series on HBO, okay? From The Sopranos to Game of Thrones to Big Love, whatever you want to watch on there, The New Pope. You could have spent the whole month of April just sitting on your butt live streaming. Totally would have been fine. But now you got to get off your keister and go back to work and start marketing to take advantage of some of the things so that you guys don't sit here in 6 months, well, I should have done this. Doggone it. I should have listened to Scott back 6 months ago. I mean, people calling me up, Scott, you called this, you called this. I'm like, I didn't call anything. You can just look at the writing on the wall and see things going on. So if you're struggling to figure out what you should be doing, here's the basic things. Marketing your current or previous deal case studies. What do I mean by that? That means literally pulling up and doing a short video, creating a short infographic, image, and deals you've done. You need to be putting those assets in place, okay? Putting those deals in place. Short video. Hey, if it's in a town, drive out in front of the house and stand in front and do a short video. Take your camera, go out, drive. Hey, this is Scott Carson. I'm standing in front of 1718 Palo Pinto Parkway here in Round Rock, Texas. This was a note deal we bought 8 years ago. The borrower owed this much, 125. We got the note for less than 100. We were able to do a cash for keys with the borrower and then turn around and sell it for roughly 120. Basically didn't make a ton of money, but we did make roughly about 10 to 15 grand on the deal. Took us roughly 90 days to do. Okay, boom. Those are some things you could be doing. Not difficult. And I'm not talking about just note deals. Get in front of your fix and flips. Get in front of your wholesale deals. Okay? Get out there and rejuvenate those assets. I know that I was looking at some of my oldest videos. I'm like, man, I got better camera equipment now. I should go drive out there and spend the day just driving around some of the assets around here. And that's exactly what I'm planning on doing. Okay? Here's another thing. Take a look at your database and start identifying the investors in different states and their top 3 states. You will see an email coming out from me tomorrow to my database. If you're in my database, hey, what are your top 3 states that you're buying in? What are your top 3 states so that when we start seeing stuff, I can start sending you stuff. All right. Like I said, start short videos about assets. I had that flipped around. Okay. But talk about not just the assets that you're doing, but maybe the assets you're looking for, the assets that you're investing in. I mean, who wouldn't want to post, hey, I'm looking for self-storage. I'm looking for distressed retail. I'm looking for distressed office space. There's a whole thing that you should be doing. Talk about what you're looking for. Put it out there in karma. Okay. Quantum physics, what you want, the law of attraction, put it out there, what you're trying to attract. You'll never know who will call you. Well, maybe it's some New York hedge fund calling you because you're the only person that's posted about a deal in this particular area or zip code, okay? Or a particular type of asset class because you pop up. The stuff that we're talking about is basically free. We're not talking about going out and dropping 50,000 postcards, which would be a waste of time. We're talking about marketing like it's the 21st century, all right? It is the 21st century, everybody. And Scotty is here to beam you up, and I'm giving her all she's got to help you, all right? If you know your state, your investors database, you know the top 3 states that they're investing in, that is worth millions to you when you start getting these lists from the market. When you get a list in, oh, I like this state, I like that state, I like that state. Okay, there's 50 other people, deals on here in different states I don't buy in. Who's on my list? Who can I call to see if they're interested in? All right. As I said before, start reaching out to banks next week. All right. Start reaching out to them immediately. We will. You're going to see something from me here in a minute. I think you guys may enjoy. But we're going to start reaching out to banks next month. People are going back to work. We're going to start doing some things, dialing for dollars. But posting deals of what you have done, previous deals, start doing that. We are already starting to do that. As we get lists in, I'm starting to pull up, okay, here's a good looking asset. This is an asset I made an offer on in Sugar Land, Texas. A performing note? I was told no. They didn't like my bid at 80 cents on the dollar of UPB for their market. I'm like, that's fine. I'll follow back up with them next month. I'll follow back up with them next month. All right. And just by posting this, I had 20 people reach out. Hey, I want to know more about this Sugar Land, Texas deal. Like, you'll have to wait. Okay. But simple things, start building your list. Okay. States are starting to reopen. Maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. I don't have the answer to that. Okay. You just have to be prepared. Now is the time to be doing this. And we're not talking spend 40 hours a day doing this. We're talking you can do most of the stuff in 3 to 5 hours in a day. If you're sitting home, you can do this. And you have kids or family, stuff like that. I get that. But you can start doing little short videos. And I don't care if you're sitting out in your patio or in your front yard or in your truck somewhere where it's quiet, where you've got to take a 15-minute timeout away from your family. Hey, make it useful. All right. Also, start marketing IRA investors now. Start pulling the list of people that have bought property with their IRA, who have lent money with their IRA, and start sending out letters to them. Start reaching out to them in some sort of fashion. Googling them. Seeing if they're on Facebook. Seeing if they're on LinkedIn. Okay? If you're buying IRA lists, now's a great time to buy it. Start buying lists of people at companies have been laid off. Or companies that are doing the layoffs. All right? Best way to start marketing on not just to IRA investors, but to people that are pulling trigger with investors or doing stuff, add them to your list too. Sharing your deals like that photo is on Facebook, LinkedIn, send an email blast out. Sharing on a regular basis, getting people to pay attention to what you're doing so that when deals start flowing in, you've built these assets. I was talking, was looking through some of my mastermind students' profiles the last couple of days. And I was just amazed because I see people, they're getting ready to, they're supposedly working on deals, and I see zero deal flow from them. I don't see anything about the 12 deals they're trying to buy or the 100 assets they just closed on. I'm like, what? What are they thinking? Start marketing. I know they're at home. I know they're not doing anything. I know they've been furloughed, or they still at least got a few hours a night. Start marketing, please, people. Marketing will save your butt in a variety of ways. Please, 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 please start marketing now. You will feel a whole lot better of doing this and starting to see traction. You'll start seeing immediate traction from this stuff as long as you stick with it, okay? Now, I think back to what I did in 2008 to 2010. And what did I do? Well, I did exactly that I just told you guys, all right? I started reaching out to banks. I started getting lists sent to me. I looked at the list and identified assets on this list that I liked, that I want to take down myself, and I started marketing the others to other people that I knew in other parts of the country. And I focused, my big thing back 12 years ago was, okay, we focus on 2 deals per day. We focus on sharing 2 deals per day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. One before lunch, one before 4 o'clock. And I shared those. On my social channels, I would find the largest meetup groups. Now, most meetup groups didn't exist then, but there were different networking clubs, RIA groups at that point that I would reach out to. And then I would also jump on LinkedIn. LinkedIn was relatively new. But the biggest thing I had was Facebook and my email. And I would literally, I had a spreadsheet of people where they were buying, and I would market to them, okay? Now, what I would do also, why did I only just do 2? Is because 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, I would dial for dollars. At least 50 individual phone calls. If you call from 10 to noon and then 2 to 5, that's 50 phone calls. That's roughly 10 an hour. 1 every 6 minutes. Sometimes you can crank out 50 phone calls and 50 messages in 2 to 3 hours. That's really hunking it. That's really boom, boom, boom. But you're getting transferred? Maybe. So keep that in mind. But if I didn't do that, I would have never found that property there in San Diego that you're looking at. 7825 Mansfield Drive. I bought that from Capital One. All right. And I marketed it out to my deal list, because what did I get when I got into Capital One? They sent me the commercial deals. The commercial notes, the commercial paper, along with the hard money mezzanine stuff, is what's going to be flooded into the market first, because that's what they need to get moved. That's what's probably not, it's not going to be bailed out for the most part by the government, okay? Especially smaller commercial properties, sub $5 million in value or $5 million in UPB, okay? Now what's that mean? Those are great opportunities to really, for most of us, to tap into that. There is a lot of times assumable financing on some of these things that you can step in and take over, or step in and get it recast. Step in and may have value. All right. And what I did back then is I wholesaled with double closings. What does that mean? I got under contract. I had a signed contract with the bank for 30 to 45 days to close, which is very normal. I went out and marketed it and found somebody who could close in that 45-day period. And I gave them a contract. I just duplicated the contract, changed some names and dates around, and I did a double closing. They funded with me in my escrow account, and I wired to the bank, and then I had the bank say, okay, this is actually the entity we're going to be using. Or, hey, can we change the assignment? If they wouldn't change the assignment mortgages, totally fine. We just did a thing. But double closings is what we did to protect ourselves. Nathan asked a question here. In the past, you've mentioned using virtual assistants for a variety of tasks. In your opinion, do you see using VAs as a viable option? Train property, do you think this is simply too high level and needs to be done only by the note investor? I think your VAs can do a variety of things as far as especially database, marketing to your social media, creating photos. If you got lists, they can do a lot of that. But the one thing I think they're going to need the most amount of help with, and you could do this, is start the dialing for dollars, calling banks. They may be able to do that. Others times in the past, I think that's more of a phone call you guys need to be making. Because it's a relationship. It's knowing what to say, what not to say a lot of times. And unless your VAs are watching and learning from you, hey, you don't know, okay? But when I was posting, when I was getting assets in, my posts included 3 things when I was getting this list. And obviously the numbers of the deal, the estimated values, where did I see the opportunity there, roughly cap rates. If I had the financials from the bank on the commercial deals, that was great. If I didn't, okay. And a photo of the property and a video. Hey, here's this 8-plex in San Diego. Now, I would never give the address, but I say, hey, I've got an 8-plex available for sale. Bank has it. We've got it in contract for $375. I'm willing to flip it for $425. It's worth right now. We have a value of $699 on it. You can fund in 30 days. You can have it for 50 grand above what the bank has said. And we would negotiate that down. Because in this market, it's all about the velocity of capital, all right? Movers and shakers, buyers and sellers. You've got to be a deal maker, or as somebody says, a deal engineer, where you're bringing buyers to the deals and you're controlling that facet. I honestly think a lot of the platforms are probably not going to do well because they're set up, that's too long, that's too fast, taking long for people to list it and then list it. If you don't have buyers for your assets, you don't have a list, it's going to maybe struggle a little bit. Now, you're still going to have one-off investors that are buying and selling, stuff like that. That's fine. But the new stuff that's coming in, especially the commercial stuff, it's going to take you being marketing and going out and actually doing some things. Now, one of the things that I did back in 2010, it's not around, is Postlets was around. It was basically a free website. You listed the address there. It would pull up all the information from the county records. It ended up being purchased by Zillow, if I remember correctly, or Trulia. It's gone. But, hey, you can still, with the inception of lead pages or ClickFunnels, or even Wix in some cases. Oh, I hate to say that name. You guys could create a relatively easy peasy website to list your properties that you got to cross or the notes that you have under an option agreement. Okay. Or was available. Okay. Does that make sense for you guys? Nathan, hopefully that answered your question as well too. The idea is setting things up so when you get stuff in that you can basically roll it out. Hey, who's buying in this state? Who's buying in that state? Getting an opportunity to know it now. Now, social media marketing, it's pretty easy to run some marketing across different places, okay? And you can run post a picture to Facebook and simply say, hey, anybody in this market and anybody in Texas looking for these type of deals. Trust me, you'll be seeing some of that, okay? So there's a thing I put together. I've had a lot of people reach out and wonder if I was going to do this. And I said, yeah, let's do this, but we're going to do something a little bit different. Next Wednesday, May the 6th, from 1 to 5 p.m. It's 4 hours Central Standard Time. And I'm going to do this via Zoom, like we're doing it tonight. I'm going to be calling asset managers, and we're going to be able to open up for live Q&A while I'm calling the asset managers. Now, thing is, we're not opening this up just to anybody, okay? If you sign up for Note Camp or our virtual note buying workshop in May and June, those for those two, sign up for one of those, you get a pass to this. If you haven't signed up for that, hey, no problem. I mean, if you're part of the WCN membership, that's a different thing. You get part of that. But if you haven't signed up for one of those, hey, it's a $49 ticket to join me for 4 hours. Why am I charging for this? Because this is valuable information. You're going to hear me talking to banks. You're going to hear me seeing in my email back and forth. You'll be able to see the conversations, who I'm dialing, and we're going to make it a charge. We've had a lot of people attend these in the past that did it for free, and that's great. Asked a lot of questions, but they never pulled the trigger on doing anything. I can think of 90% of those that have been on phone calls, watched, but they've never bought a note, and that aggravates the hell out of me. So I'm going to do it. I doubt anybody else is going to be calling bank asset managers like I do, but I'm going to literally show you how we do what we do. And if you want to join us live, great. You can sign up for it at callingbanks.com, or you can just have this as an extra bonus to Note Camp or the virtual note buying ticket. So Nathan, you signed up for the virtual note buying workshop May 15th to 17th. You've already got a pass to this. All right. For those that signed up for Note Camp last week, guess what? Have you signed up already for it for the year? You've got a pass. You don't have to worry about sign up. It's included. Just wait for the email from me. But for those that don't know me, for those that are like, I think I know enough, that's fine. Hey, you can still join and listen in. 49. And am I going to record it? Yes. Am I going to release it immediately? Hell no. But if you go to callingbanks.com, it's callingbanks.com. That'll get you signed up at $49. We're going to go through the full 4 hours of me pulling my list. I'll share with you guys what we dial or what we sent out, how we pulled the list. What some of the things that we'll be doing prior to is I'll be sending an email out, obviously, Thursday this week and following up with another email Tuesday of next week prior to that. And those two lists and those that have opened those emails, those were our biggest open places that we dial. Those will be who we dial for dollars first and foremost. Just like I tell you guys to do this all the time. So you can take advantage of that if you want to. Say $49. Hey, great. It's 4 hours at a time, $12 an hour. Trust me, it will be entertaining. You will learn. If you're on there, yes, you'll be able to ask questions via the chat roll or come on and ask questions live in between phone calls. But you'll be able to hear the conversations and who I'm talking and hear me, who I'm asking for, me getting transferred or hung up on or cussed out. Who knows what's going to happen on these calls? Most of the time, it's usually pretty good. Other times, it's pretty bad. If it turns out to be a complete flop, hey, I'll refund your money back on it. All right? But we're pretty excited about this. I haven't done this in a while, and we're going to make it worthwhile everybody's time that shows up. Questions, comments, concerns? Like I said, if you're signed up for Note Camp or sign up for the virtual note buying workshop already, you'll get a ticket to this. You want to take advantage of sign up for those two, get this extra bonus thrown in. Remember, if you sign up for the virtual workshop in May at notebuyingfordummies.com, you get a ticket to Note Camp. Why not get an extra bonus thrown in there too as well? What questions do you guys have that are on here tonight or watching? Let's see if anybody's asking any questions online. Am I going to be questioning here from somebody? Am I going to be calling residential departments or commercial? I have contacts for both, so I'll be calling a variety of both over over that 4 hours. Sorry, pulling this up here. But any questions that you guys are listening in here, joined us live on Zoom tonight? Well, my page reset here. Sorry. Facebook is taking a little while here. Guys, have you ever seen me call banks? It's funny. I've done this and shared it, and it's always been a great learning curve. A lot of people have learned a lot from me making the dollar for dollars. Hey, Julianne Caulfield Ferrari, she's watching online here tonight too. A couple others as well too for you. So, but that's what we're here for, guys. Next Wednesday, May the 6th, from 1 p.m. Central Standard Time to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be dialing for dollars. You can hear me making phone calls. We'll be hearing this. You'll be hearing the questions and the answers back and forth, see if they've got anything available, and be able to learn. Nathan, that's when speaking with banks, investors, do you use only canned sales talks or scripts when making calls like this, or is it just based on your own experience, evolution as a note investor? I've put scripts in place before. When I started off, I really did script it out. And that's part of the thing that we include in the virtual workshop is we include our scripts. Hey, here's what you should say, what you shouldn't say. Here's the emails that we send. But of course, over time, You do enough scripts, it's just going to roll off your tongue. It just comes from experience, Nathan, like anything else. So yes, I do start off the scripts, but depending on who you're talking to, it can go a variety of things. But we usually have the FAQs outlined pretty easy, so that people can identify when somebody asks you a question back, you're ready to ask them and go forth. Now, if you're doing this on a part-time basis of calling banks or want to do that, we like to say, hey, just do the emails. Just follow up with emails and keep the conversations back and forth that way, because then you can control it. Then you have the opportunity to, oh crap, what do I do next? What do I say to this before hitting send? And so we leave that available. I have those things, like I said, I have those scripts in the virtual workshop manual for you guys to go through. And you guys, we'll see if you've watched some of my videos beforehand, you'll see me making phone calls, and you see it's kind of the same basic script, which works out well if you know who you're talking to. Dialing for dollars. Not everybody likes doing it, but this is one of the things that built our business strong over a decade ago. I will tell you, Stephanie, one of the best people to call banks. One of the first masterminds I did we had 60 people together in San Diego. We were doing masterminds for 5 days. The first 2 days, we divided everybody up into teams, and they had to call banks, and they got a point for every asset manager contact they got: name, phone number, email address, and Steph blew people away. I mean, totally blew people away with her contact list. So anyway, guys, if there's no other questions, that's really all I have. Obviously, pay attention to what's going on in your market. Pay attention to the employers. Pay attention with what you're seeing. Start making some lists, checking it twice, and find out who's naughty and nice. And you can be Santa Claus in the second half of the year. Not only getting deals sent to you, but also delivering some amazing value and creating win-win scenarios out there for you. All right? Laura says it's weird to start, but it gets easier once you get on the phone. Yeah, once you get in the groove, that's the whole point. Boom, boom, boom. Get in the groove, making dollar for dollars. Not difficult. Not difficult. It can be a little intimidating, and nobody likes to pick up the 1,000-pound phone. But I was very blessed early on in my professional career. I worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car for 90 days. I worked for Verizon Wireless. It was probably one of the best companies and best sales trainers I got. And you're on the phone, which you're not in the office there, and they incentivize you bonkers. I mean, you got great. I made some big commission checks. I worked so much at Verizon. A year went by after I left, and I got a recalibrated overtime, and I got another like $8,000 check that showed up from out the overtime, and I did. And I set all sorts of sales records with them back in the day. So, look, sales, dollar for dollars, is still one of the most valuable things that you can do, and still very valuable thing to be doing as a note investor calling banks and asset managers. I mean, let's face it, they may not have the answers by next week, but you know what they will do? Hey, when can I follow up with you next? Or, hey, I'm wanting to get on their radar now. I'm wanting to get on their radar now and go from there. All right, everybody? Well, that is going to wrap it up for this evening, unless there's any other questions available to you out there. Anybody else have any questions they want to discuss tonight or ask on Note Night in America? Pay attention to what's going on, everybody. Just look at what's going on. There's opportunities all around us, and the best thing you can be doing is marketing. Marketing, marketing, marketing. All right? So once again, guys, if you are interested, sign up for the May virtual note buying workshop by going to notebuyingfordummies.com or go to notecamp2020.com and get signed up for that as well. So, and take advantage. Our extra early bird pricing on Note Camp ends May 1st. Thanks, Sher. Thanks, everybody. See y'all later.